What's going on, guys? How's it going? I just punched myself. I don't know why the fuck I did that. How's it going, everybody? I'm gonna start off with this here. My name is JP. Y'all know me from the Cold Bone Show. I'm more than a wrestling enthusiast. I am a Star Wars guy. As you can see from the picture behind me, every single character that was ever in Star Wars is right there. Right there on that poster. I've seen the very first Star Wars movie in the movie theater. And I'll tell you what. I was hooked. I didn't care. I'm all about Star Wars when I was a kid growing up. Love the movie. I think my favorite thing about Star Wars is the lightsabers. Yes, we didn't get that much of it in this last movie, but it's still, you don't need it every single moment of every single hour of every single second of the fucking movie. You don't need it, but it was a good movie. What this is I'm going to explain. I'm going to try my hardest to explain why Star Wars is still good. Yes, people are going to sit there and say, well, Rey did this, and Rey didn't have to do this. She didn't have to go through this. She didn't have... How do you know? I mean, the trials that she was put through was about the same as Yoda, and if not more intense. You got to remember, it's a movie. If you want actual... You have to read the books. That's the only way you're going to get everything. Look at Harry Potter stories. Again, they didn't tell the whole story. You had to read the books in order to understand the whole story. So, I mean, I get where people are coming from, but you have to read the books. You can't just rely on the movies. So, with that being said, with me, I have Heather from Tattooed Mistress. In fact, this is her channel. She is so kind as to let me broadcast on this channel until mine comes back up on August 3rd. And I also have Trekapedia, who is not only a wrestling guy, but is also a big-time movie buff. He is a big-time Star Wars fan, just like me. And we're going to try our hardest in about an hour. And we're probably going to do more than just this one. But we'll probably figure out, like on a Saturday or something, we'll do that. We're going to try to explain the Star Wars history and why the expanded universe wouldn't work in the movies. It would work in a book, but it wouldn't work in a movie. Number one, it's way too fucking expensive. Don't care if Disney owns it or not, it's still way too expensive because they have to pay the actors. The CGI. Yes, some of the CGI wasn't that great, but you know what? It's CGI. Not everything's perfect. Not every movie is going to be perfect. I mean, look at Justice League. Apparently there was CGI to get rid of Superman's mustache. That cost $2.5 million to cover up just a fucking mustache with CGI. That gives you an idea of how much it costs to make a movie like Star Wars. We're going to start with episode 1 and work our way up. We'll try to do this, at least get through the prequels in less than, I call them prequels, even though I don't consider them, well, they are prequels. Because 4, 5, and 6 was first, and then 1, 2, and 3 came afterwards. Dumbass. So anyway, so we're going to start with episode 1. Now, episode 1, 2, and 3 tells the story of Anakin Skywalker, who becomes Darth Vader. 4, 5, and 6, and I'm gonna hit real briefly on this. 4, 5, and 6 explain where Luke Skywalker came from, because him and ultimately Princess Leia, or Leia, became or are Anakin Skywalker's children, and they explain that in 1, 2, and 3. Episode 1, we're introduced to Anakin Skywalker. Or we're introduced to Qui-Gon Jinn and a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Ewan McGregor, who I think is great. I want to. Apparently, Disney's putting a hold on all the fucking movies, and I'm going to tell you why all of them movies are put on hold. It's because the fans aren't getting what they want. This is where the problem lies. It's not the movie makers, it's the fans. The fans that seem to think that Star Wars has gone away from what it is about. It is about the lineage of the Skywalkers. Well, guess what? The way that they're telling the story now, I'm okay with it. They're still telling the story of the Skywalkers because Solo is a Skywalker. Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, is a Skywalker. Am I right or am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong. Anybody, please. Okay, didn't think so. But I'm going to let Trek start out because he's better at explaining a movie than I am. I mean, I jump all over the place. So keep in mind that 4, 5, and 6 tells a story. In 6... episode 5, we find out that Darth Vader is Luke's father, or he says, I am your father, and then it comes to fruition that he is in Return of the Jedi, and everybody goes apeshit. I want to know how he became Darth Vader. Well, they explain that in the prequels. So we're going to talk about 1, 2, and 3, and then work our way up to 4, 5, and 6. So, Trek, go ahead and start off with episode 1, where it goes and why.
Well, episode 1 starts out with them. It does have a lot to do with some politics in it. They're trying to help this trade federation get broken. It's been a while since I've seen it, and that they're trying to keep the Queen Amidala, played by
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman, thank you. Safe because she's under fire and stuff. That they want to make sure that she can lead the galaxy and stuff. That, and then there's her person helping their younger Emperor Palpatine. He hasn't become Emperor yet, but he says he's trying to help her, but you can tell there's darker meaning behind him and stuff that. And they get this forced feeling that they have to escape with the Queen. They escape to, it's Tatooine, right? Tatooine. They go back to Tatooine. Yep. Where they meet a young boy named Anakin Skywalker and his mother, and nobody knows. She doesn't know who his father is. She just says she was pregnant with him, and there's no, she didn't meet the father, but there's rumors about who it might be. We'll get to that later. Mm-hmm. And they have to, they're slaves essentially. Waldo's their slave owner, and Qui-Gon, played by Liam Neeson, is trying to broker an agreement to get both the mother and son free, but he won't let go of
Shmi.
Of Anakin's mother.
Shmi.
But Anakin Shmi. Wins his freedom with the pod racing.
Yep. So the reason, and this, I don't know why they went away from this, the Metachlorians. Now they explain this. This is part of Expanded Universe, everybody.
Yep.
Where did Anakin come from? There's a really important part in this fucking movie that I'm swearing, because this is where it pisses me off with people and what they say. When they explain where Anakin came from, Qui-Gon Jinn asked her, who is his father? She says, I don't know. I carried him, I conceived him, or no, I can't remember how she said it. She said, I carried him and gave birth to him. There was no, the Immaculate Conception, if that makes sense. That's where it came from. This is where Qui-Gon Jinn, or Gin, or however the fuck you say his name, got the idea that Anakin was the chosen one. He would bring balance to the Force, because the Jedi believed. And again, the Jedi, it's a religion, and they believed that he was The chosen one, because they say, and again, that comes back, he will bring balance to the Force. So they take him back to Coruscant, which is where the Imperial, or the Republic is, I think they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they go back to Coruscant. Coruscant, they take him before the Jedi Council. The Jedi Council says, no, he is too... Oh, no, this is really key, too. Jedi don't like training children that are not infants. He's too old. He's no more than, what, 7, 8 years old, I think he said?
Yeah.
That's not that young. That's not that old.
No.
But think about this for a second. Luke Skywalker was how old when he was trained?
Teenager, early 20s?
Teen to early 20s. Yeah. Yoda did say he's too old. But Obi-Wan said that he is our only hope. So what I'm getting at is that Rey, who is in her early 20s maybe, if that.
Yeah.
Luke was already strong in the Force. He didn't know about the Force until he was told. Once he was told, oh my God, it went from there. Am I right or am I wrong, Trek?
No, you're right.
Okay, and it's the same thing with Rey. It is the exact same thing with Rey, except
she always had a feeling there was something there.
Yes. But it was because of the confrontation between her and Kylo Ren where he fought with her. She knew that there was something about her that... And she gave it a shot when she was in that fucking restraint. When she said this, that, and the other. I can't even repeat it. But so, back to what we're talking about here. Again, we have Anakin, and he wins that pod race because he has the reflexes of a Jedi. So he wins the pod race, and they free him. I know. Yes, you're right, Johnny. But again, what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I understand why they did it when they were young, and I get it. That was the way of the Jedi. But they took a chance. They broke their code. Not really broke their code, but they said, all right, we're going to let you train him. Although Yoda did say, I don't want you to train him, but the council says we're going to let him train. So they let Obi-Wan, after Qui-Gon Jinn is killed, they train Anakin. In Episode 2, he comes out. Episode 2 was Episode 1 was a good movie. The problem with Episode 1 that I had was they killed off Darth Maul way too soon. Although he's not dead. Everybody's like, huh? Yeah, he did. He died. No, he didn't. This is where the cartoons come in, and I know I'm saying cartoons, but it's a live action cartoon, is what it is. It's new. If you've never seen it, if you have the Disney Channel, go check it out. Or if you have Netflix, go check out the Clone Wars. It's the same kind of cartoon. So Darth Maul is not dead. And it explains how he survived. Because the lightsaber cauterized the blood, or the major whatever. So
That's how Anakin also survived.
Well, he also survived. He also survived because he was really strong in the Force. That's what kept him alive, and it explains that in the books. So, Episode 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 were what used to be called Expanded Universe. Now, I get where people get flustered and frustrated and confused when they have canon and Expanded Universe. Expanded Universe is for fans like me, where it's more it's fansy. I call it fansy because they tell the story of Jason and Jaina Solo and Anakin Solo and Ben Skywalker, who is Luke and Mara Jade's son. They explain that. It goes on and on and on and on. So episode 2 comes along, and I know I'm jumping back and forth, but I'm trying to explain the best that I possibly can as to why they're doing what they're doing. Now keep in mind that George Lucas is still involved in this because they pick his fucking brain every fucking day. In fact, they make the movies. Disney just owns the copyrights. That's it. They're still making money off of it. Disney is putting their name on it, but they are letting George Lucas do what he wants. Kathleen Kennedy was handpicked by George Lucas. So, if people want to be pissed off, don't be pissed off at Kathleen Kennedy if you're not liking what they're putting out. Be pissed off at George Lucas. He's the one that handpicked her. Okay? In my opinion, I think Dave Filoni or Pablo Hidalgo should have been the ones to take over. But, who am I? So, episode 2 comes along, and this is where we get introduced to the clones in the movie. Mm-hmm. This was the shittiest of all the movies, in my opinion, because it was the story is good, but the movie itself was garbage because they really didn't explain anything major, and the CGI and the
you want to talk about cartoon and live action movie? There you go.
There you go. Another problem with the prequels, and a lot of people, and I do agree with it, is Jar Jar Binks. I'm not gonna lie, he is god awful in the fucking movie. He is. Although I love doing his voice because it annoys the shit out of people. But so we get to the point where we come to episode 3. There is a conflict within episode 2. Let me go back. There is a key point in the movie where Anakin has dreams about his mother. Am I right, Trek?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll let Trek explain that part of the movie. Go ahead.
If I remember correctly, this is my least favorite movie in the series, so I haven't watched it as much as the other ones. He's dreaming that his mother is in danger and he needs to go save her.
Which she is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
He is right. Go ahead, Trek.
He brings Padme with him and barely can find her before he keeps having dreams when he gets there, and Padme actually witnesses him have a dream, and she pretty much tells him, go find her, and but by the time he does get to her, the Tuscans kill her, and he can't save her.
No, backtrack. She doesn't. He gets there before she dies. They don't kill her.
Yeah.
But she is held prisoner, captive by the Tuscan Raiders. And I honestly, and this is where it's confusing. Why were they holding her captive? What was the significance of it?
I thought I heard that. Oh, go ahead.
The Tuscan Raiders were actually humans. If you paid attention. This is why you gotta pay attention to more than just the movies. The Tuscan Raiders are actually humans. They're savages, but they're humans. So he gets on that speeder bike and goes to the wherever she is, and he saves her, and she dies. He goes apeshit and kills everybody. Even the animals, the women, the children, kills them all because he is so upset, so angry. What is the one thing that the Jedi frown upon is attachments, right?
Right.
So even his mother knew that he needed to go be a Jedi. How? I don't know. She just did. There was something about him that was special, so to speak. So he ends up killing the entire family, or entire tribe of Tusken Raiders. And then he buries her, and he's starting to have this conflict and all this shit. And then Obi-Wan gets captured by Count Dooku, who is also Darth Tyrannus. And they go to Geonosis. Yes, Geonosis. Where, needless to say, whoever is behind and funding this is building the Death Star, which is, they were builders of stuff. The Geonosians were these bug people, because they're the ones who were building the droid army. That's who was building the droids, the evil droids, for the Trade Federation. So we go on. This is where Anakin gets his hand cut off. Draws conflict even more inside of Anakin. You know, he gets married to Padme secretly. Jedi don't know about this. How they don't know about this, I don't know. Doesn't explain it. I don't think it explained it in the books. It just happened. So he's able to keep it from them somehow, some way. And they end up, Episode 3 comes along. Senator Palpatine is captured by, and you could tell that throughout the movies, and it's no secret that Senator Palpatine was the Emperor. How could you not? Especially after the first one, when they showed him, when they said there are always two there are, a master and an apprentice. But which one is the master and which one was the apprentice? Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about Darth Maul. And then they do a close-in shot of Senator Palpatine, or Ian McDiarmid, who did an awesome job. In fact, he played the Emperor in Episode 6. So we get to Episode 3, and this is where the conflict starts. Anakin starts having dreams that Padme's going to die, and he figures out a way through Senator Palpatine that there is a way to save life. And it goes into the whole story. The explanation of, I can't remember his name, Darth Plagueis. There we go. Darth Plagueis the Wise. And why they didn't tell this story, or hopefully the next 3 movies that they make, they go away from the Skywalker thing and start talking about the Sith. Because I want to know more about the Sith, to be honest with you. I want to see where they started and what they follow. I think they're going to follow the lineage, because they already did it. Because Darth Bane is the rule of 2 guy. But we go to Darth Plagueis the Wise. He tells him the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, which had the most dialogue out of any of the fucking movies in Star Wars history. He tells the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and this is where he starts putting or the Emperor starts putting the thought in his brain that I need to find out a way to save her from dying. So he ends up telling Anakin who he is. He finally tells him, he says, well, he doesn't come out and say it. He says, join me, join the dark side. I can teach you the ways. And Anakin's like, oh shit. This guy is really the bad guy we've been looking for this whole fucking time. He's the one behind all of this. And the whole time, he is manipulating Anakin Skywalker to join him, because Anakin's already starting to turn, because he's already got an attachment, emotion. Even though you can love somebody, an emotional attachment is forbidden by the Jedi.
Well, emotion in general is forbidden.
Well, no, because if that's the case, then Obi-Wan would have turned to the dark side when what he did to Anakin. But so Anakin leaves and goes to. Well, no, I mean phrase that. So he goes and tells Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who played a really good. I can't even remember Mace Windu, and Mace Windu and I can't remember the other two. Their names are prominent in Star Wars lore. They were Jedi Council masters. They go to Palpatine's office or the Emperor's office, and they go to arrest him. But he ends up killing the other. No, he took 3 of them with him, so it was 4 of them. He took Senator Palpatine or the Emperor, killed 3 of them. At this time, you might as well call him Darth Sidious because that's who he is.
Basically.
So he kills the 3 people with Mace Windu. Mace Windu and him get into a lightsaber fight. I can't fucking talk today. And Anakin is torn. This is where Anakin says, fucking A. I want to save Padme. Padme's more important to me than the Jedi. So he goes to... He gets in his... They told him to stay there because Mace Windu did not trust Anakin at all. For some reason, he just could not trust him.
Gut feeling, I would say.
It's a gut feeling, and two, it was because of the Force. He could sense something was wrong with Anakin. So he gets in his cruiser, he jets over to the dam in his speeder over to Palpatine's office, and at this time, Mace Windu has defeated Darth Sidious. All he's got to do is kill him, and it's over. Well, Anakin says, no, I need him, and, power, he did the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about. If you've seen the movie, you get what I'm talking about. Anakin Skywalker cuts off Mace Windu's hands, and the Emperor Lightning strikes him out the window, and that's the end of Mace Windu. Hence, now Anakin is a wanted fugitive by the Jedi. Doesn't know it yet because Palpatine manipulated him. So he ends up becoming Darth Vader. That's how he becomes Darth Vader. So he said he wanted to end the war, so he goes to Mustafar and kills off all of the separatists, they're called. And this is where Anakin ends up, and this is another problem that I had with the movie, is the way Padme dies. She was a warrior throughout this whole movie. All 3 of these movies, she was a warrior. But she dies of a broken heart, which I guess is okay, but really? That's the only frustrating part that I had with the way she died. She shouldn't have died like that. But he ends up choking out, Anakin does, or Darth Vader, ends up choking out Padme with the Force choke, and Obi-Wan says, let her go, and they have this fight. They go all over fucking Mustafar fighting, and Anakin, because his mind is so fucking blown, because he thinks that he's all-powerful, all-knowing, all this, all that, he ends up jumping. Obi-Wan told him not to do it because he had the high ground, which is true. So Anakin decides to jump, does a flip. Obi-Wan cuts off his arm and both of his legs. And that's how he became the Darth Vader everybody knows in the black suit. He could not survive without a respirator, and that's why he wore the helmet, so he could breathe and all that shit. So Padme dies. Before she dies, she gives birth to Luke and Leia. End of the movie, you see is it the 2 sons? 2 sons?
I don't remember. It's been too long since I've watched.
There's 2 sons, right? He shows up with Aunt Peru and Uncle Lars.
Owen.
Uncle Owen. Well, his first name is Lars.
Yeah.
Owen Lars is his last name. So he ends up. That's how the movie ends. They show Luke and his aunt and his uncle, step aunt and step uncle, looking out at the sun, holding Luke. And then we get episode 4. Episode 4, 5, and 6. And it's 20 years down the road now. And before that, there was a little movie, or a little skirmish on Scarif. We had the movie called Rogue One. Now that story needed to be told because it explains how they got the plans to the Death Star. Mm-hmm. That movie was really good. I don't know who had a problem with that movie.
Well, the whole problem is, they had this great guy in it, and then they kill him off.
Well, everybody had to die. They said it in the scroll, though. Everybody died. Every single one of them. In fact, Mon Mothma said it. These plans, I can't remember how she said it, but there was great sacrifice. Everybody that was on this mission died to get us these plans. So they had to kill everybody off. If you think about it, it's just like, I can't remember the movie, but everybody had to die. You know, not everybody can fucking live. Not every movie can end in a happy ending. Somebody has to, it's common sense. But Jyn Erso, if you read the book Catalyst, it explains everything. Why she was such a great fighter and all this shit. It's because she was trained by, I can't remember his name now. It escapes my mind. But if you go back and watch Star Wars Rebels, you know, a lot is explained. If you can't just watch the movies and expect to get everything. You're going to have to read the books, you're going to have to watch the cartoons, or else you're just going to sit there like, I don't get it. And of course you're going to, I don't get it. I get it. Because I watch the stuff, or there's explanations out there on YouTube. It explains everything. So we all know what happens in 4, 5, and 6. It explains the damn story of Vader, which then that's why they made 1, 2, and 3. It was a moneymaker. Everybody wanted it, so they got it. And then they bitched about it because it wasn't very good. Well, he told you the story. Deal with it. You'll be okay in the morning. I have no problems with what he did. He really didn't want to do them in the first place. If you remember correctly, he said, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm going to give the fans what they want, and so he did. He said specifically, after these are done, I'm not doing anymore. I'm done. Am I right or am I wrong, Trek? He said, I'm done. I'm not making any more fucking movies. And
yeah, you're right. He didn't even want to direct 2 and 3. He wanted David Lynch to direct 2.
Yes.
Which would have been really messed up because Lynch is a great director, but he's dark as hell.
Well, I mean, Rian Johnson. I think that's who directed episode 8.
Yep.
He directed Looper. He's a dark motherfucker, too.
He's supposed to be directing one of the trilogies coming up, too.
He's doing the movies for the trilogies, but I think he's gonna. I don't think people are understanding. Everybody's like, oh, the next 3 trilogies are gonna be god awful because of Rian Johnson. I think he's gonna actually tell the Sith side of the story. Mm-hmm. He's gonna go back. You may get the Revan story, which is really dark. You're gonna get the Darth Bane story, which is even darker. So, everybody calm down. Rian Johnson knows what he's fucking doing. But we get episodes. I'm not even gonna explain. If you want to see what happened in between episode 6 and episode 7, go watch the damn Battlefront game on. You know, they do a movie game. Is it raining? They do a movie game, and it's really good. That tells the story of Iden Verso. Iden, is that her name? Iden Verso, I think is
I didn't versus something.
okay.
I'm into campaign mode with her right now.
Yeah, well, so that tells that story, and then there's another little story after that about um, the the thing in episode 8, the dreadnought. It explains the it explains the Starkiller base. I'm sorry.
We also have Knights of the Old Republic, Johnny says.
Yes, the Knights of the Old Republic. Although that actually stemmed from, and them games are great. I love them games. I actually sat down and I watched the 4 when they did the Jedi, the Gamers Little Playground. Props to them. They do a really good fucking job of editing and showing the game and telling the story itself. The problem that I had with those games is the people that are his companions. Like Kit Carson, who's one of his companions, isn't in the game after 3. She's in the beginning and then that's it. They can get them in little side stuff. You have to go back and watch it. That's the only problem I had with the games, but other than that, they're really good.
Well, Johnny's saying that they were the story of the Knights of the Old Republic.
No, they had. You can tell that story, but they have the Jedi story, they have the Sith story, they have the smuggler story, the bounty hunter story. They have a whole bunch of them.
And Coop is in the chat.
Is he? Tell him I said, "What's up, Coop? How's it going, man?" So we get to episode 7. Now, episode 7 is reintroducing. Keep in mind how many years after this is. Keep in mind. How old is Leia? She died, when Carrie Fisher died, she was like 64?
63, I thought, actually.
Okay, well, she's in her 60s. Mark Hamill is 67, I think?
Track?
Something like that.
Oh.
He's in his 60s. I know that much. He's older than Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher was 19 when they made episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't going to see Mark Hamill doing the backflips and shit that he did in episode 5.
I don't even think
And at episode 6, you're not going to see him doing that stuff. Yeah, so he had a stunt double, but you're missing my point. He's older.
He's 66.
Okay. So the CGI, that's where CGI comes in. What they did with Mark Hamill in that movie, in episode 8, I should say, was perfect. I mean, you had to do CGI. You couldn't have him doing that Matrix shit. He broke his fucking back. I mean, the guy's 66 years old. Give him a break.
I mean, granted, he looks great for his age, but...
But back to episode 7. So we got to reintroduce characters. So we had to... The new... What's the word I'm looking for? The new legacy. I'm going to call it a new legacy, which I'm okay with what they're doing. I don't know why people have a problem with it. I'm confused with the whole... I'm going to let Trek talk here. I'm confused with the whole... I don't know why people are upset with what they're doing with Rey. I really don't get it. I mean, am I missing something? I need somebody to explain to me without telling me, well, Rey can do this and Luke can't. Well, Luke can. Rey's just learning. She's really good at what she does, but she's just learning, which... Why not let her be the chosen one? I don't understand. I think that's what they're doing, but I don't understand why people are so upset with Rey being knowledgeable in the Force, whereas Luke wasn't. Because Luke was kept away from everything. I can add him. That's fine.
Change windows.
Oh. Give me a second. Give me a second, Johnny. Alright, there you go. Alright, you've been added, Johnny. All you gotta do is pick up the call. I'm just confused as to why people are so upset with the whole Ray thing. I don't get it. Was that a gunshot?
I have no idea.
Trek, are you? Can you see me? Oh shit.
Well, that's why, because Johnny's coming in. There you go.
The fuck? Oh, it's fireworks. Hey Johnny, how's it going, man? You guys hear me? Fucking Skype. Hold on a second, okay? Can you guys hear me or not? Give me a second. Skype took a shit on me. Fuck.
Oh, close the chat.
I did.
That, yeah.
It won't let me.
No, you,
There. You guys there?
I was talking about the first thing you did.
I did. There.
And then you clicked it again. And they're saying, no, they can't hear you.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck happened?
It's Skype being a piece of shit again.
Alright, you got... Hang up and call me back, or I'll call you back. Give me a second. No, I'll try and get you back in here. I don't know what the fuck happened.
You just hang up your end and then log out Skype and then call back. Because you should be able to jump right back in.
I gotta fix this first. Just give me a second, guys. Fucking completely fucking...
No, it should be that top one right there.
Yeah, I can't...
Unless they both hung up too.
Yeah, I don't... They must have.
So just
Alright.
call back. Just right from that call. Call them both.
Pick up when you can, guys. Jesus. Trek, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Alright. Hey, there you are.
There you go.
I'm sorry about
Hey
that.
guys.
Jesus Christ, Skype is such a shit fucking show.
Yeah.
Alright, so I know you're one of the... And we're on opposite ends. Excuse me, opposite ends of this, Johnny. So, what I want you to do is explain to me your thinking, your thought process on this movie. Or
Well,
what they're doing.
and I apologize, guys, if you hear me coughing. I'm not doing so good, so I'm gonna try to burn through this as quickly as possible.
Okay.
To be honest, I really don't have a problem with the Ray character.
Okay.
I would have. if we're going with the lineage, I would have preferred maybe they put more focused on Kylo Ren than they did. But it's whatever. I don't have a problem with Rey being the the main character.
Okay.
I think where a lot of people get confused is, and it's one of the things I said in the chat, is that when you look at the first 6 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
social media really wasn't that active. And so we didn't really know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff unless you're like a hardcore fan like us.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And even then, some things you didn't hear.
Right.
I think what you're seeing is where people excuse me, are having problems with these movies is not necessarily the movie itself.
Okay.
But a lot of the... Okay, give you a good example. When I tried to watch episode 8, I tried going into it thinking, okay, I'm going to go into this with an open mind and just enjoy it for what it is. Keep in mind, I actually enjoyed 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, I liked 7. I loved Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great nostalgia movie. It told a story that I always wanted to know about.
Yep.
Served its purpose.
I think the problem that you're seeing is people don't necessarily have a problem with the movie. It's all the stuff that was said outside of the movies. I mean,
can I ask you this just real quick? Is it what people were saying could happen or will happen or should happen?
Is he saying people involved with the movie, like Catherine Kelly, saying certain things of her own character?
Right, like, or like, okay, a good example is people kind of, there were people that, now at first, when people were coming out and, reviewing the movie,
mm-hmm.
and the bad reviews that people were given about, it's more, they bury certain male characters and stuff like that, I take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
It's not until you start seeing Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson coming out and basically calling anybody that really didn't care for the movie, like, I didn't really care for it, not because Rey is some people in the community have called Rey a Mary Sue, which, to be fair, Anakin and Luke were kind of Mary Sues themselves.
Right.
Exactly.
They could kind of do everything. So that's kind of the weakest argument to me of the whole thing.
I agree.
But what ruined it for me is when I tried to go back and watch it, seeing all the things that Kathleen Kennedy had said, what Rian Johnson had said about the fans. I came into it with a little bit of skepticism because I'm like, okay, I've heard about this.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went into it, because I'm not somebody that completely dismisses what somebody says just because they have a problem with something.
Right.
And so I try to look at both sides. So when I watched the movie, I could see in the tone and the way the lines were delivered how somebody could view that.
Okay.
For example, I can't remember the pilot's name.
Poe Dameron.
But damn. The conversation that him and Leia had, I thought was very good. That she's looking for a leader.
Right.
And then when she goes, she has her incident,
mm-hmm.
and he goes to the new lady, she just kind of runs him down.
Can I explain this real quick?
Okay.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Let me explain this real quick. Now, remember, let's keep in mind that this is a military kind of like mentality here. She is the admiral, right?
Right.
Okay, so she is in charge of the ship, in a sense, correct?
Right.
Okay. And this is real life. I'm not sugarcoating shit here. I was in the Army for 23 years. I had female officers
Right.
belittle me like I was wrong in what I did. I had female NCOs who were above me tell me to, you're worthless. There's honestly, well, they can't do it now and they shouldn't, but they do. Back when I went into the military, they broke you down to build you back up.
Right.
So they called you a worthless piece of shit. You're nothing but a dog.
Just like in the movies, you're a maggot, you're nothing.
Yeah, and
right.
that's what they are. I think that's about the way they did it, but they kind of, and I can agree with you to a certain point, where what they did really didn't explain why they were doing what they did.
Right.
But
and
if you look at it, I think that's what they were trying to do. They just didn't explain it very good.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get
but you make a good point, is that there is not really a good explanation. And that's where I found myself. It's like, okay, why is she running him down? Oh, wait, well, she is kind of an admiral, so I could see that. But at the same time, at first it took me a minute to kind of, okay, I see where it's going. Like I said, as far as the story goes, there's not so much a problem with the story. Although I really didn't care for the chick that
runs with Finn. Yeah, I did have a problem with her, but I can see why they added her. But
yeah, I didn't really care for. She was probably the one thing I really did not care for. Because actually, I went back and watched it all the way through. Yeah, I actually went back all the way through. I still don't like it.
At least give it a shot.
I'm not criticizing anybody that doesn't like it.
We're criticizing those that say they didn't like it just based on the reviews.
Just based on the reviews.
And didn't bother to go watch it.
And didn't bother. Well, that did watch it, and then what's an SJW movie? Explain yourself.
Well, see, this is my thing, and this comes from somebody that's seen it at this point. My problem is not necessarily with the movie itself.
Okay.
My problem is that if you found any kind of issue with it, you were called basically a racist, bigot, misogynistic, whatever. They attacked you as a fan.
Right.
Yeah.
And like going as far as saying the Force is female. Like, I don't have a problem. To me, I get what they're trying to do, but it seems it's such a minute thing that you're making a big deal of.
Yeah.
And two, if you go and look at it, the Force is genderless.
Exactly.
It is.
There
I agree
no...
with you. I never listened to anything she said. I never listened to anything anybody said, so I went in with it. I went into it going from what I got from episode 7 going into episode 8. This is when I paid attention to the news about what is coming up or what they're doing. Like, I watch Collider videos, and they talk about the movies. And they were talking about what's going on with the movie. They didn't so much talk about, well, the Force is female. No, they didn't explain that. They more stayed out of that kind of stuff. They did kind of explain what fucking Mark Hamill said. He said, I don't like what they're doing with the character of Luke. But that was a phrase from a quote that he said. The phrase from that quote was, I don't like the character. I didn't like the way the character was going, but as we got further into the movie and where it was going, I like.
I think, well, and I do agree with you up until a point, but when it comes to Mark Hamill, there's one deal that I think you do need to see.
Mm-hmm.
If you see the preview where they're on the red carpet, they're doing the world premiere.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that statement that Luke made, that he liked the direction. And then after the movie, if you look at his face, it was like complete shock. And it wasn't like, for me, based on what I saw, it wasn't an excited shock. It was, what the hell just happened? Kind of shock. And then there's talks that he's done. He's not. He doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's not that. Again, that's not what he said. He said, if they have me back, I am more than happy to do it. People are going based off, because everybody's saying, oh, Luke's dead, Luke's dead, Luke's dead, Luke's dead, Luke's dead. Luke is not dead. Luke transcended.
He'll come back as a Force ghost, which a lot of people don't. And I can see why people say that, because they think Force ghost, well, technically you're not alive. It's not. They don't see as transcendence, which I can understand, and the confusion. But but I think the thing is, when it boils down to it, I don't think it's necessarily a problem with the movie itself.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it's the trilogy itself. It's all the bullshit that came with it.
That's why I don't pay attention to the bullshit.
And so, the thing is like, with me, it's a little bit harder to not, because of some people that I support and I listen to, they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And so, with that, I go with that in mind.
But you also got to remember, Johnny. Joe watched it once, did his review, then went back and watched it again and changed his review.
He did.
Right, which I'm kind of doing the same thing. I still don't like it, but
I get what
I don't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I still don't like the movie, but I don't hate the movie.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, every movie. I mean, look at the prequels. So hated. Every single one of the movies are hated. The story itself makes sense. The movies were not very well put together, and they can only do so much in 2.5 hours too.
Right. Well, there were some severe issues with the prequel, which was with anything. But to go back to a point, I do agree with you. A lot of stuff that you gotta read guys like us that have read the books, watched the cartoons, seen all the stuff, we have a much better understanding.
It explains the story of what it pieces the puzzle together.
What they couldn't afford to put in the movie.
However, I am going to make a counterpoint to that.
Mm-hmm.
With the first 6, even if you want to take the prequels out, because there were some severe flaws with it, but even then, with the first 6, you really didn't have to. It was good if you did, and you went and saw the extra material. But you didn't have to understand what was going on in the movie and how everything is explained in the movie. You got the idea where, you might want to know, okay, what happened between Anakin, they agreeing to train Anakin, and then jump 14 years later, he's almost an adult. Okay, what happened between those times? But you kind of got the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's another issue that some people have, is, whereas the first 6, you really didn't have to. It was good if you did, but you didn't have to.
Yeah.
And you understood it. Whereas now 7, 8, I'm not going to lie, in order for me to understand any of it, I had to go read stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, now that's not necessarily a bad thing. I still, because I've read a bunch of stuff with the expanded universe, all that stuff. But, so that's not really an issue for me, but I could see why people had a problem with, a lot of the fans did have a problem with that. Because realistically, to their credit, the first 6 you didn't have to.
Right. And I know why. I'm just going to say this now. There's a lot of those fans that just pay attention to the movies and nothing else. And I'm not saying names. I don't know who's seen what you've read, because there's books out there that explain what happens in between 6 and 7.
Right.
And I can't remember the name of the books. I know one of them is called Empire's End, which tells the story of the First Order and how it started. It explains Snoke, kind of, but it doesn't tell you where he comes from or what he is. I think, honestly, with Snoke, and I'm going to talk about Snoke now, he's just a pawn in the whole game. Yes, he was strong in the Force, but if you think about it, once Ben Solo became trained, you didn't need Snoke anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he killed him off.
No. I was trying to think of. I think that was another thing. Like, and it kind of goes back to like the prequel as well. Why there was some problem with the prequel is because Count Dooku kind of came out of nowhere.
But he was in the story. If you read, and I can't remember what the name of the book is, but
he was in the story.
The story of Sifo Dyas.
Right, he was in the story. I do remember that. But if you looked at it from the movie, it was kind of odd.
Yes, it was.
To have him just all of a sudden pop up, even with knowing where he comes from.
Right. Right.
I think that was the thing with Snoke. We wanted to know more about him.
What's this? Okay, so in Episode 9, what's to say we're not gonna get that story? We could still get it, but he won't be there. You might get that explained somewhere. In fact, I think they should write a book. They should do a book on Snoke, and it'd explain everything.
If they do that, it would be what I originally wanted them to do with the prequel.
Okay.
Essentially, is that they revealed because I know I get a lot of shit for this. I know I do. And I know it doesn't mean a hill of beans, because that's not what wound up happening. But if George Lucas was going to go with his original plan, I could see them doing something similar like that with this series, where they finally explain who Snoke really is and reveal some great truth about him.
Right. You're talking about the next series or this episode 7, 8, and 9?
Episode 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, though, is that Luke Skywalker is still around. The Skywalkers are still around. They gotta finish that story up somehow.
Right.
I mean, you could do a standalone movie of how Snoke became. What they should have done is made Snoke fucking Darth Plagueis. That's what they should have did. That's where they failed, because that story was explained, and it would have told the story as to why Snoke is so fucking powerful.
Right. They should have done the two prevailing theories that were out there was that he was Darth Plagueis, or he was actually Mace Windu. Mace Windu never really did die. I mean, that's a little bit more far-fetched, but yeah, I think it would have been cool if they would have played. It's believable. But that's what I mean, is that I almost see that they may try to go with some, truth about Snoke, whether in Episode 9 or later on down the line, that gives her, something that the fans have actually been asking for. A big bad.
Yeah.
A true big bad.
That's where I think they're going to go with these next 3. That they're going to do 3 more of trilogy movies, but I think they're going to actually do the Sith lineage. I think they should. That's what I think they should do. Will they? I'm hoping. But I don't think it'll be after Episode 7, 8, and 9. I think it's going to be pre Episode 1 that they're going to do.
Yeah, I could see him doing it that way.
Or they tell the story of the Old Republic or Darth Revan. And those of you that don't know about Darth Revan,
arguably one of the greatest Sith ever.
And one of the greatest Jedis ever.
Yeah, Revan's story is amazing.
So is Darth Bane's story. He's the originator of the rule of two, which Darth Bane took. If they're going to do it the way I think they're going to do it, Darth Revan actually said it's easier to have two than a many. So he took
right.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Darth Revan's story is it's way better telling than what they have done. But that being said, whatever. But I just, I get where people are coming from, and I understand how people can say, and I get what you're saying, I totally do. And I understand, I have a better understanding of why you didn't care for the movie. See, I wasn't quite catching everything you were saying, but now that you've gone back and watched it and explained it, I get it. I get it. I just don't, there's a lot of people out there that just, fucking Ray is quicker learner than fucking Luke Skywalker's an SJW movie. And I heard that. I've been hearing that. That was a lot of people's thinking. I'm like, really? Because Luke Skywalker learned the Force from like fucking 2 years.
Well, and the reason why, and that's what I think I've explained. I have explained here is that the reason why it's being called that is because, not because of the movie itself, but what's been said outside of the movie. And I will tell people this: stop paying attention to it. That's all I can say. Because then it ruins the movie for you. Because then you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna go into it. All right, I'm waiting for it. Oh, there it is. You see what I'm saying? Well, and I can agree with that, but also, I agree and I disagree with that, because I do think it is. I think you should know the people you're supporting, because essentially when you go see a movie, you're supporting that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's good that if you do have a problem with what Hollywood is doing, I think it is good to know these things, but don't let it overrule your enjoyment of a movie. I still like I said, there was parts of 8 that I did enjoy. And there's parts that I can say, okay, you know what? I was wrong about this. I see what's going on. But I can't realistically support a company that believes this way. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of this boycott stuff now. And why now all of a sudden everything's on hold is because I don't think it's necessarily the movies themselves. People are tired of what Hollywood is doing.
I get it. I do want people to understand, and I said it at the beginning, I don't know if you were here for that, is keep in mind that Kathleen Kennedy was handpicked by George Lucas. Right,
and Kathleen Kennedy, Kathleen Kennedy's been in parts of some amazing movies.
Yes.
But back then, though, she didn't really... I don't think she was as vocal about stuff that she is now. And I think that, not that I believe everybody has a right to say what they want, right. But, some of the things she said, it's kind of like this. I always tell people that you have every right to say whatever the hell you want to.
Yep.
You also have the right to be shit on.
That's true.
If your opinion sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And, And I think that's a lot of what the problem is. Is that, and this is just my opinion on it. I mean, there are people that absolutely love what Kathleen Kennedy said. Fair enough. I found what she said offensive to me.
See, here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to you, Johnny. I didn't hear anything she said. It's because I didn't pay attention to it.
Right.
So what did she say exactly? I don't even know.
Well, there was a whole deal with, the fans that didn't go see it are just people that, live in their mother's basements, and they're sexist, misogynist, racist,
okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
And to me, I'm like, okay, if your movie was received badly, why are you blaming the fans? Why is your first instinct is to blame the fans? It's the same thing that happened with Ghostbusters, the remake, where it was the all-female cast.
Yeah.
I watched a guy that talked about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that it was an all-female cast. It would have been amazing if it was like, hey, these guys, these are like the children of the original.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A handoff film. But he said what ruined it was terrible writing, and the jokes weren't funny, and had some very bad stereotypes.
Okay.
And it's like I said before, it's when you give a movie that's not exactly strictly a comedy movie,
Right.
you have all comedy actresses doing it, you're going to end up with something that's crap.
Yeah.
Right, and that's not saying anything bad, because like Melissa McCarthy is a good actress.
Right.
Yes.
You
She's
know,
funny
but the same kind of thing that you saw with Ghostbusters, when people were shitting on the film, they came out and said, oh, you're just sexist and bigoted. And honestly, a lot of people are tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people are kind of like, I don't get this movie with hate.
Right.
When people were kind of just like, I don't get this movie. Well, here they come again.
I think the difference between, and I'm just going to say this, and this is just my observation. The difference between Star Wars and Ghostbusters is Ghostbusters was a remake. A beloved movie, Ghostbusters is. And then they remake it, and they didn't hit it out of the park, I guess. They tried rehashing old shit, I guess. I don't know why they couldn't just make their own movie. Why didn't they make a Ghostbusters 3? Except this time it's women. It's the children of these guys. I mean, that's what I would have done, but they want to rehash and start over, I guess. I don't know. I think that's what they did. But the difference is, and I'll get to my point, not getting to my point. The point is, Star Wars, the episode 8, 7, and 8 are not remakes. They're not rehashes.
Right, you're right about that. It's completely separate.
Yeah, I just want to say that's a difference. There's a difference there.
But the reaction to the criticism,
yes,
was the same.
It's the same, yes, and I understand that.
And so I think like I said, I agree with you that realistically people shouldn't look too much into it. They should try to go and enjoy it for what it is.
Yes.
But at least give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is good to know what you're putting your money to.
Yeah, if I will say this, if you don't like Star Wars, or if you aren't liking the way it's going, don't go see it. I mean,
right.
It's just like WWE.
I'll be right back.
It's just like WWE, people. If you don't like what they're doing, don't watch it. But then again, I'm going to come back to you and say, if you aren't watching it, you have no right to bitch. You can bitch that I don't watch it because the product sucked. I don't want to hear somebody come and say that John Cena sucks. Well, how does he suck? You just say he sucks. I get it, but explain to me how he sucks. Am I making sense, Trek?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I making sense, Chad? If not, please tell me. I mean, am I narrow-minded? I don't know. I'm not saying that I am. I'm just, does it sound like I'm being narrow-minded? It's just that way of thinking. I'll use that. And I'm not getting political. Voting. This is the way I look at wrestling. And people that bitch about, well, fucking Roman Reigns sucks. Well, okay, he's not built properly. I wouldn't say Roman Reigns sucks. I'd say his character is terrible because he's been built like shit.
Well,
It's
hey
like-
man,
Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt, but I'm gonna have to call it, guys. I've gone as far as I can go, and I'm starting to hurt.
All right, man. Well,
Take it easy.
thanks
Go
for.
Just go get a cold bottle of water and hold it on either side of your neck, rotating it. It'll help you cool down.
What happened?
You
Did
overheated again.
you overheated again, dude?
Yeah, and this time it's a doozy. I've been having a hard time breathing and stuff. I mean, I'm getting slowly better, but it's just.
Dude, you got to take it easy.
I know.
I know that sometimes you can't, but man, I mean, let me tell you, I was in the Army for 23 years and never had I never had a heat injury because I always knew my body's limit. I said my body would tell me stop, sit down, take a break. That's why I never got a heat casualty. Plus, I was lazy as fuck. But, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. But to each his own. You want to work your ass off. You want to get done with what you got to get done. I get it. I get it. I'm not criticizing you for it, but dude.
Oh, I know, man. I
want you to
know.
Take it easy because I need you on Mondays and Tuesdays, man.
I know, boss. But sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
But I'm gonna hop off here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for explaining on.
Is your portion
At least-
of the fans that don't like it, because there are the other portion that are the SJW fans. The SJW,
And
it's an SJW movie. I'm never gonna watch it again.
And again,
Right.
I'm not saying that you are SJW. You are a fan. You're a true fan. You want to be given the great product, and I agree with that. And there are some certain things about the movie I didn't like. Even about Episode 5, which is my favorite movie of all time. There's some things I didn't like about it. I mean, there's always something about movies that I'm not gonna like.
Right.
I can nitpick, every movie if I wanted to. Like Episode 1, 2, and 3, they were shitty CGI
And just shitty storytelling.
and Jar Jar Binks. But anyway, even though I can do his voice, he was a shitty character. I will say that. But
You
so
go relax.
you go
Johnny.
relax,
Get something
man.
cold on your neck so we can help you cool down a little bit faster.
it stays.
All right, guys.
Keep us
I'll see y'all
updated on How
later.
you're feeling, man? All right.
I will.
Talk to you later, brother. Thanks for stopping in, man.
Later.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Johnny.
Now, see, that's the insight that I wanted. Do you see? It makes more sense. I get what people are saying as to why. See, this is me. I don't pay attention to what Kathleen Kennedy says because I don't give a fuck what she has to say. I really don't. As long as I enjoy the movie that I'm watching, this is why I don't pay attention to social media when it comes to Star Wars. Because I so love Star Wars, and I know because social media has ruined WWE. It has ruined WWE. Am I right or am I wrong, Trek?
You're right. They rely on it too much, too.
They do, and it's sad. And so I just avoid social media when it comes to Star Wars. That's how much I love Star Wars, so I avoid it at all costs. And to those fans out there that love Star Wars, all I can tell you is stay away from the social media if that's the case. It makes more sense for you to go in it with blindly because you'll enjoy it. To me, you'll enjoy it more. In the back, you'll have that, like I was telling Johnny, and I think, He was hearing stuff, and in the back of his mind, he's sitting there, not. He's not just sitting there. Oh, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. Subconsciously, because you hear things and you're sitting there and it happens and you're like, oh fuck, this is why. That's what I was getting at. I'm pretty sure that you hear it and you wrote it down and you're sitting there waiting for it to happen. I don't think that's what Johnny was saying. At least I hope not. But I don't put words in his mouth. But that's what I was getting at. There are fans out there like Johnny that are diehard, like me, that aren't liking the movie. I can see his point. But when somebody who doesn't have knowledge of Star Wars or the Star Wars of what they're trying to do because they only pay attention to what happens in the movies, you're not a true Star Wars fan, people. You're not a true Star Wars fan. You can love the movies, you can love the lightsaber fights, you can love the laser fights, the laser gun fights, but you're missing the whole story. There's a reason that they're doing this. They're trying to tell a story of Luke, of the Skywalkers, and of the Sith. Believe it or not, that's what I think they're doing. Now the Sith are gone, but where's the story going? They're trying something new. If it don't work, it don't work. End it at 9 and do something
Different.
Prequels. Do something prequel to the prequel to the prequel. I mean, why not? Fuck it. You know what? Fire Kathleen Kennedy and fucking redo them all. Tell the story that everybody else wants. Because I think that's what the issue, that's one of the, another issue, is everybody wants the expanded universe story told. They're not getting it, so they're upset about it. And I get that too. Because that's what I was hoping they were going to do, and they didn't do it. But am I upset with what they did? No. I'm enjoying it. And I'm going to continue to enjoy it. You can all hate me for enjoying it. I don't care. You aren't my mom. You don't own me. But I know I talked an awful lot, Trek, and I wanted to make this about you as well. So go ahead. You have the floor, my brother.
I think that the thing with social media is, it's like you said with WWE, they relied on it too much. Could you imagine social media when Empire Strikes Back came out? It would ruin the freaking movie because everyone would have been spoiled about Darth Vader and everything like that and who he really was. That's what would have happened. As far as I'm concerned, all these people would come out and they're like, oh, this happened, this why it sucks. This sucks that they did this. That I didn't want to do this. I didn't do that. Like what they're trying to do with The Last Jedi. They're trying to re-edit it, which makes no sense to me because the movie's already come out and stuff. Yeah, if you want them to re-edit it, that's called a director's cut, folks. You could ask for a director's cut, but to go in and say and just shit on the movie because it's not what you wanted, these people need to back off and let it happen. Let the story be told. Maybe they would be enjoying it if the story was over and they got into it, instead of waiting until we're in the second movie of this trilogy and people are bitching already. Mm-hmm. I'm like, they don't know what's coming up and they act like they do. It's like, I think it's gonna be shocking to a lot of people what does happen, and and a lot of them are gonna eat their words, eating crow because of how good it's gonna turn out.
And again, that's not shouting down the fans. I think what he's trying to say, like Johnny, the fans like Johnny, I think what he's trying to say is, don't quit on it. Give it a chance. If they don't do it, they don't do it. But don't expect something and then don't get it and then you're disappointed. Because that just ruins the movie experience. That ruins the experience. It really does. That's just me. That's just me.
Let the story be told and then see what happens. If you have some complaints after it's all done, that's one thing. But to go into the middle of it, and I don't mean all the fans. I love the fans. Fans are awesome. I'm a Friday the 13th fan. And I know people who shit on some of the movies, they like the other movies. They're like some of the movies, they hate the other movies. But it's like to go in and say, oh my gosh, this was such a disrespect by into it. It's like, until someone like Mark Hamill or Harrison Ford or Daisy Ridley or someone else comes out and says, they took it away from me and they wouldn't let me do what I wanted, let the story be told. Let them say what they need to say. They're going somewhere with this.
Yep. Totally agree. Totally agree. They're going somewhere with it, just where we don't know. I know that they stopped production on which is sad and tragic, that they stopped production on the standalone movies, because I was looking forward to getting another part of Solo, which was a very good movie. I enjoyed that movie thoroughly. It gave us an introduction as to what Han Solo was and what he grew up to be. And we were gonna get I'm sure it's gonna happen, but they're gonna take a step back and let things cool down. They might fire Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know what they're gonna do, because she has, from what what she said, that's not true. People just I think they're disappointed with not getting what they thought they were gonna get.
Right.
Oh God! Third time I'm seeing that too.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll see.
But these people also need to remember one thing. Johnny brought up the point that he doesn't want to support a company. Well, a company is more than just one person.
Yes. And
it's not just Kathleen Kennedy. There's also the producers, the writers, the actors themselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see his point
with that money that you go and pay to go watch.
I can see his point, but again, Disney isn't the one. They're the ones that put out the movie. They have the financial backing for the movie, or at least helping with the financial backing of the movie. Is Disney going to rule the world? No. It's fucking Mickey Mouse, for fuck's sake. Can we just leave it at that? Yeah. Nobody else wants to put out fucking movies, so Disney is...
Nothing original, anyway.
Yeah, Disney is. What has Disney put out that was a rehash? Yes, they've redone some of their old stuff, like Freaky Friday. They redid that 3 times, but oh well. It was still good.
Yeah. It was the only Lindsay Lohan movie I actually enjoyed.
But... Disney is I don't think they're produced. I don't know what they are when it comes to the Star Wars. I think they own the copyrights. To be honest with you, they don't own. Lucasfilm still makes the movies. Lucas is still making the movies.
Yeah, Lucasfilms is still their own standalone production company. It's just Disney is the financial backing for them.
There you go.
They're the investors for Lucasfilm.
They're the ones that are able to give them the fucking $1 billion to make the fucking movie. Because Walt Disney can do it. I mean, fuck, they own fucking ABC. But whatever, it's fine. And I'm not criticizing people for shitting on fucking Disney, because Disney has kind of done some. They've made some bad decisions. They have. By God, oh my God, have they? But it's sad that people want to not go see a movie, because again, and I'm repeating myself, because they aren't getting what they thought they were gonna get. And I think that's a lot of fans, not like Johnny. Hear me out. Not like Johnny. These I call them casual fans. There are them casual Star Wars fans that only pay attention to the movies. They don't pay attention to anything else. They don't read the books. They don't do anything other than watch the movies. They aren't getting what they think they're gonna get, and they're upset about it. That's what I think is the bottom line. I think that summarizes what I'm trying to say. Is that my fucking mouse? But other than that, I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I lost my mouse a while ago. I'm trying to find it. Should have seen me today at work. But other than that, speaking of that, since I got Trek here, Trek and I are gonna start doing, and I think it's gonna be before your guys' show. In fact, I think I'm gonna record the first few episodes and see how they go. So I might call you on like a Wednesday or something, and we'll just record an hour review for a movie. So what we're gonna do, at least until I can get my channel back up, but we'll figure something. Either that, or I'll start another YouTube channel and put you down as, give you the password and all that shit for create an email for the channel and stuff. We're gonna start doing horror movies. every genre. I mean, we could even go back to
The Hollywood
Dracula.
movies.
the Dracula, like the original Dracula. Boris Karloff, or whatever his fucking name was, that did the Draculas.
The very first Dracula movie was
Yeah.
actually Nosferatu.
I'd have to go watch them, but whatever. But we'll probably start out with Halloween. This is my favorite, one of my favorite horror movies. Because that's the original slasher movie, so to speak. I think is
Especially with the new one coming up. Holy smokes.
yeah. I got questions about that though.
Yeah.
There's the gap. Remember that what we were talking about with that. But we'll see. But we're gonna do that, and that'll...
Actually, Aaron, before you sign up, I'm actually going to sit there and correct you because I actually did something like this on Tattooed Mistress involving horror tattoos. Bela Lugosi was not the first one. There was actually Nosferatu in 1925.
Really, I don't know. I mean, if I have to, I'll watch the movies. But whatever. Bram Stoker's Dracula was pretty good to me.
That was the
Yeah.
great one.
I don't know. I'm talking about number one with Christina Ricci.
Oh, that one.
I didn't watch the old horror movies. I was more of a slasher horror movie kind of guy.
Some of the really old ones are my favorite, though, like The Blob. And
I'm not gonna review zombie movies, so you're gonna have to
You're
get
gonna
her.
have to-
You're gonna get her for that because I
You're
ain't
going to
watching
skip
that
over the
shit.
entire 90s then, 'cause that's pretty much all they were.
You ain't gonna get that out of me. I'm just kidding. I'll watch them, but I'll tell you they were shit. But just kidding. But other than that, I don't have anything. I thought it was a great discussion. We got Johnny's point of view. I would have liked to have gotten a fan that thinks it's an SJW movie to talk about it. I think that probably would have raised
the
a
whole
big
problem is-
discussion.
That the whole problem with going with that idea is I don't think anybody that follows us thought it was an SJW movie.
I do. I know some people, but whatever. So, that being said, Trek, you got any final words, man? Final thoughts?
Just that I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a kid. I used to watch it with my dad. I still remember when they used to be on the USA Network every Thanksgiving, and I miss they do that. Some of these network, and I'll go into this and maybe the horror podcast where you talk about Friday the 13th and how you used to watch them on TV and stuff. But it just feels like after a certain amount of time, these people in charge of networks just forget stuff existed before a certain year, which is sad because the Star Wars movies are classic.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. Totally agree.
To be fair, Trek, the networks follow the attention span of their audience.
Which is a half
Yeah.
hour or an hour.
Right.
Yeah,
Unless
sadly.
it's a football or
I think it's
baseball
starting to
game.
come back around too, though.
Unless it's a sporting event.
Yeah, I think it's starting to come back around a little bit now with all the with stuff like the Friday 13th remake and stuff, because then people can go back and watch the original ones, so they kind of get hooked on them again. You get a whole new generation. Like I said, we'll talk about that on the horror thing we do and stuff. That when they go back to Halloween and stuff, we can talk about all the movies and stuff.
We'll talk about that too. So, but that being said, and again, my final thought: don't go into something, and again, not everything that Hollywood puts out is bad. It's what you make of it.
Yeah.
I could go into the whole reason why I don't like Infinity War. I ain't gonna do that because I ain't gonna shit on the fucking movie. I haven't seen it, so I ain't gonna say. There's just some stuff that was explained to me where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read into this further. There was a way they could have beaten whatever is fucking Thanos. But that's neither here nor there. So, that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. I really, truly, honestly appreciate it. Thanks for listening to my point of view. Hopefully I got my point across. If you have any, if you want to talk, DM me and I can answer your question or I can explain it further. Or if you want me to do another video like this, I am more than willing to do it. I just got to find time to do it. Friday, Bobbitt went to see Jurassic World, so usually we do This Week in Wrestling. I think we're going to... There really wasn't that much except for the Big Cass thing, but he's gone from WWE anyway. Who cares? So, that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. I got to feed preggers. So, Trek, thanks for joining me, man. I know you didn't say much, but when it comes to the horror reviews, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to watch those movies again too.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and thank you for letting me join in. I appreciate
Well,
it.
you're
Like
a
I said,
movie guy. You're a movie guy, so it's
I don't need to talk. I don't need to talk as much. I can listen and then just throw in a few points and stuff. And like I said, with the horror stuff, then I'll talk more because that's what I really grew up with.
Yep, and I as well. I mean, I laughed when Jason killed people. So
I was laughing hysterically at the end Freddy versus Jason thing when the guy's walking through the cornfield. I got water. What you gonna do now? And then fucking dies.
I cried when they killed the shark in Jaws. That's how sadistic I was. So I am sadistic, but just kidding. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow, maybe, depending. I'll probably stay out of Heather's hair when she does her show. She kind of gives me dirty looks when I open my mouth. What are you guys reviewing, anyways?
It's my episode.
Oh.
Goonies, Nightmare Before Christmas, Little Shop of Horrors.
I've only seen one of those that you spoke of. So don't look at me like that. I've only seen one of them. Don't be mad.
The Goonies.
Yes, I like the Goonies. Goonies is good.
I love the Goonies.
All right, so I'm gonna end it here. Don't forget to check out Johnny Ray. Hopefully he'll feel better tomorrow and he can do his podcast. It is his final episode, and then he's gonna switch what he's doing. He's gonna switch
to gaming streams.
To gaming streams.
It's gonna be classic Skyrim for everybody.
Ooh, I don't even care. I'm kidding. I'll check it out. And then don't forget to check myself, Bobbit, Johnny Ray, Heather, and Trek, and hopefully Drew someday again. He's always welcome to join me for Monday and Tuesday for Raw and SmackDown. And then Thursday we got Wrestling Memories, and then her show, Raging Inc. Don't forget to check out Monetize This tonight. That comes on at, I think, 10:15 my time, somewhere in there, which is PM, so it'll be 11:15 PM Eastern, and so on and so forth. And then Corrupted tomorrow night. And don't forget to check out Derailed. I think he's got a guest tomorrow. I don't exactly know who it is. I could be speaking out of turn, but I think he does have a guest. So we will see you all tomorrow. And then coming up, also giving you guys a little quick hitch. Coop the comedian, myself, Heather, and Bobbit, we're doing a football podcast with Coop. It'll probably be on Coop's channel, I'm sure. We're doing that probably like a Wednesday after all the games have been played, and then probably reviewing next week's games. But up until that point, did I miss anybody? Anything?
Insomniac.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget to check out Ken, Foul Mouse Network. Wednesday is that Wednesday's Insomniacs? Or is that
No,
Saturday?
Wednesday is
Wednesday's
Foul Mouse
just
Network.
Wednesday,
and
yeah, okay.
Insomniac is
And
on
check
Saturdays.
Ken out on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and do not forget to check out OK Fabe, who I want to give a big shout out to for what he's going to be doing. He's going to be doing Fight.com. Signed him. He's going to be doing a show on there. I think Fridays, he said. I'm super excited to see that. I'm so happy to know Connor. He's been a really good friend to me. He's really knowledgeable about what he talks about. So go check him out. Don't forget to check out Joe and Jake and Connor on Wednesday nights for Out of Nowhere and all that other stuff. Check out JB too. JB's radio. Check him out. He has some good content. Go check that out. And subscribe to all the Joe, Ken, and JB's Patreons. And OK Fabes. Other than that, I'm going to sign out. I've got to go get something to eat. Prager's is like, will you shut the fuck up?
3-minute goodbye. 15-minute goodbye.
You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.